As we join, there is a profound, silent tragedy that plays out in millions of bedrooms every single morning when the alarm clock cuts through the darkness. It is the sound of a contract being enforced, a reminder that your time is not your own, and that you must sell the best hours of your day to a stranger just to secure the right to exist in your own home. You drag yourself out of bed, not fueled by passion or purpose, but by the terrifying necessity of survival, driving a car you finance to get to a job you tolerate, all to pay for the house that stands empty while you are gone. You sit in traffic, surrounded by thousands of other people in steel cages, all participating in the same collective delusion that this is the only way life is supposed to be. When you finally arrive at your desk and log into a system that tracks your every keystroke, you are accepting a trade that is mathematically designed to keep you stagnant. You are trading a finite, non-renewable resource, the minutes of your life, for a currency that is printed by the trillions and devalued every single year by inflation. You look at your paycheck and see a number that has been carefully calculated to be just enough to keep you from quitting, but never enough to set you free. You are trapped in a linear equation where your input of labor is the only variable, and because there are only 24 hours in a day, your potential for wealth hits a concrete ceiling that no amount of hard work can ever break through. The fundamental deception of the modern workforce is the idea that a salary provides safety, when in reality it provides a sedative. It lulls you into a state of complacency where you stop hunting and start waiting. Waiting for Friday, waiting for a raise, waiting for retirement. But while you wait, the cost of living rises like a tide around your ankles, slowly eroding the purchasing power of the dollars you traded your life for. You realize, with a sinking feeling, that the 3% raise you fought so hard for is actually a pay cut when the price of groceries and gas has gone up by 5%. You are running on a treadmill that is speeding up, and no matter how fast you sprint, the mechanics of the system ensure that you will eventually be thrown off the back. This is the rat race, not just a metaphor, but a rigged economic game where the players are kept hungry enough to keep running, but never fed enough to escape the maze. The shift to entrepreneurship is not merely a change in career. It is a violent rebellion against this linear trap. It is the decision to stop being the resource that is used, and to start being the architect who builds. The primary driver of profitability in entrepreneurship is the concept of leverage, which is the ability to disconnect your income from your physical presence. When you are an employee, you are the leverage for someone else. Your boss uses your labor to build their dream. As an entrepreneur, you utilize code, capital, media, and labor to multiply your own efforts. You can write a piece of software that solves a problem for 10,000 people simultaneously, earning money while you sleep, while you eat, and while you spend time with your family. You can record a video or write a book that continues to sell for decades after the work is finished. This is the difference between linear income and exponential income. In the linear world, if you stop working, the money stops flowing instantly. In the exponential world of the entrepreneur, you are building a machine that takes on a life of its own, generating value that is independent of your daily calorie expenditure. You are no longer paid for what you do. You are paid for the systems you own. Consider the vast, hidden chasm between the value you create and the paycheck you receive. In every employment contract, there is a middleman tax. If your company pays you $100,000, it is because you are generating significantly more than that in revenue for them. Otherwise, you would be a liability on their balance sheet. That spread the difference between the $200,000 of value you create and the $100,000 you take home is the profit margin of the owner. It is the premium they earn for taking the risk, for setting up the structure, and for signing the checks. When you become the entrepreneur, you eliminate the middleman and capture that entire margin for yourself. You realize that job security is a myth because you are essentially betting your entire financial future on a single customer, your employer who can fire you at any moment to save a fraction of a percent on their quarterly earnings. Entrepreneurship is actually the safer path because it allows you to diversify your income across hundreds or thousands of customers, ensuring that no single person has the power to turn off your livelihood. This journey also unlocks the incredible power of the tax code, which acts as a massive accelerator for wealth creation, but is largely inaccessible to the employee. The tax system is a set of incentives written by business owners for business owners. As a W-2 employee, you are taxed on the first dollar you earn. The government takes its share before you can even pay your rent or buy food. You are living on the leftovers. The entrepreneur lives in a completely different reality, where they earn revenue, spend that revenue on the growth of their business, which often includes lifestyle expenses like vehicles, travel, and home offices, and then pay taxes only on what remains. This inversion of the cash flow cycle allows the business owner to reinvest pre-tax dollars, compounding their wealth at a rate that is mathematically impossible for an employee. Every dollar you reinvest in your business is a soldier you are adding to your army, fighting for your financial freedom before the government can confiscate a portion of its power. Beyond the cash flow and the tax benefits lies the ultimate prize of entrepreneurship: equity. When you work a job for 40 years, you walk away with nothing but memories and perhaps a depreciating 401k. You cannot sell your job to another person. You cannot pass your seniority down to your children. Your position dies the moment you leave the building. A business, however, is an asset. It is a tangible thing that exists outside of you, something that has a valuation based on a multiple of its earnings. You are not just working to pay bills. You are working to build an estate. You are creating something that can be sold for a lump sum that could equal decades of a corporate salary, liquidity event that can change the trajectory of your family line for generations. This is the difference between being a tenant in the economy and being an owner. The tenant pays rent every month and leaves with nothing. The owner builds equity with every payment and eventually owns the building. We must acknowledge that the path to this profitability is paved with a specific kind of suffering that filters out the uncommitted. There is a valley of death in the early stages of entrepreneurship, where you will work harder than you ever have for less money than you have ever made. You will stare at the ceiling at 3 a.m., wondering if you have made a terrible mistake, while your friends post pictures of their vacations and their new cars. You will feel the crushing weight of responsibility, knowing that if you don't hunt, you don't eat. But this suffering is the crucible where your character is forged. It is the price of admission for a life of freedom. You are enduring a temporary imbalance to achieve a permanent victory. You are voluntarily entering the fire so that you can emerge as something hardened and valuable. The salaryman avoids this fire, seeking the warmth of steady pay, but in doing so, he ensures that he will never become the master of his own destiny. The psychological shift that occurs when you cross the threshold from employee to entrepreneur is perhaps the most profitable aspect of all. You stop looking at the world as a consumer and start seeing it as a producer. You walk into a coffee shop and you don't just see a latte. You see the supply chain, the margins, the branding, and the real estate strategy. You stop waiting for permission to have ideas. You realize that the world is malleable, that everything around you was built by people no smarter than you, and that you have the power to change it. This sense of agency is intoxicating. It is the feeling of taking your hands off the passenger dashboard and gripping the steering wheel. You are no longer a victim of the economy. You are a participant in it. You realize that money is not something you beg for. It is something you attract by solving problems. Ultimately, the reason it is more profitable to be an entrepreneur is that there is no cap on your potential. In a job, your worth is determined by a salary band, a market rate for a specific role that has a hard upper limit. In your own business, your income is limited only by your creativity, your resilience, and your ability to serve others. You can scale from one customer to 1 million. You can expand from one city to the entire globe. You can pivot, innovate, and grow without asking anyone for approval. You are trading the illusion of security for the reality of infinite possibility. You are choosing to live a few years of your life like most people won't, so that you can spend the rest of your life living like most people can't. The most profitable asset you will ever own is the belief that you can survive on your own wits, that you can create value from thin air, and that you are the sole author of your own story.